All right, lovely ladies, you have to forgive me. I just stepped out of the shower again, and that's when the inspiration hits sometimes. And this is a good one. Then, so I'm going to just go for it. And I'm sorry if I'm a little bedraggled here. Um, this is about spiritual intimacy. Now, see if you can hang with me on this. This is a beautiful concept. It's an important distinction. All right. Spiritual intimacy, it's the presence of being and the absence of performance. When I was in the shower, I was wondering about this word that frequently pops up. It's called performance and generally associated with the beautiful woman. And I kind of prayed about that. I wanted to know, tell me about performance. And where does that fit? And why does the beautiful woman, why must she perform? Why does she perform? What does she perform? So I was sort of opening up, my line of thinking, and so what happened, what's developing here is that spiritual intimacy is not closeness, and it's not romance, and it's not emotional fusion. And it's not vulnerability for vulnerability's sake. Spiritual intimacy is the presence of being and the absence of performance. Wow, what would that feel like? It's what happens when a person stops trying to be anything and simply is, right? It is the moment when the guarded softens, the tense unwinds, the defended lowers, the collapsed rises, the reactive settles, the closed open. This is GTR and CDC dissolving the architecture here. Right? This is the presence principle. So we have presence of being. Presence of being means you are here. You are real. You are not hiding. You are not performing. You are not adjusting yourself to be liked. You are not shaping yourself to be approved. You are not acting a role. You are not protecting an image. Presence of being is the sovereign state. It is the moment when your inner life is visible without being forced, flaunted, or dramatized. It is the moment when you are relaxed, like right out of the shower, open, steady, clear, undefended, upright. This is the opposite of GTR CDC. Okay. It's the absence of performance. Performance is not evil. Performance is not wrong. Performance is not shameful. Performance is simply a mode. It's a way of navigating the world when safety is uncertain. And that's fine. That's what we do. Some people call that your strong suit, right? But spiritual intimacy requires the absence of performance. Requires it. Not because performance is bad, but because intimacy cannot occur when a person is acting, posing, managing impressions, protecting an identity, hiding their truth, shaping themselves for approval. Spiritual intimacy begins when the performance drops and the being rises. This is the truth versus persona distinction. So let's talk about why performance blocks intimacy. See, performance is a shield, a beautiful shield sometimes, socially useful shield, a psychologically necessary shield, but a shield nonetheless. Shields are cool, you know, coats of arms and all that. I love them. Performance says, let me show you who I think you want me to be. I know I'm laughing because I know this one really well. Let me show you who I think you want me to be. All right. All right. Think about that. Think about that. I know. You love living in that. I do sometimes. And I do and sometimes I don't. Okay. So so we have options here. Presence says, let me show you who I am. Figure that out. Intimacy cannot occur with the first voice. It can only occur with the second one. Are we having fun yet? Yeah, I know I'm a bit of a philosopher. This is the inner truth acceptance. All right. So now we have spiritual intimacy. Why? Why, Lord? Forgive me. I don't know why it's so some mirth. Yes, I've been touched by the tickle finger of the god of mirth. All right, spiritual intimacy is not emotional exposure. Check it out. All right, this is important. Spiritual intimacy is not oversharing, which I love to do. Emotional dumping, dramatic vulnerability, confessional bonding, trauma based closeness. No, those are performances too, just in a different costume. Spiritual intimacy is quiet, it's simple, it's sovereign. Isn't it sweet? Sweet. The moment when two people are present, open, relaxed, undefended, truthful, attuned, without trying. Me and you right here, right now. Doesn't it feel good? This is the sanctuary consciousness. So, why is spiritual intimacy rare? Well, because most people live in the GTR, that's the guarded, tense, reactive state, and the CDC, that's the defended, collapsed, closed state. Most people live in performance because performance feels safer. Most people live in persona because persona feels predictable. Most people live in roles because roles feel manageable. Spiritual intimacy requires sovereignty, see? And sovereignty requires presence. And presence requires safety. And safety requires truth. And this is sovereign knighthood. So here's your Avalon teaching. In Avalon, we teach this: spiritual intimacy is the meeting of two sovereign beings who are not performing. Yeah, yeah. It's the moment when fear dissolves, presence rises, truth clarifies, being emerges, and sovereignty awakens. This is the heart of my channel here. This is the heart of our sanctuary. This is the heart of our teaching. So, spiritual intimacy is the moment when you stop acting, which is ironic because I know that most of you love a good act. I do. But even you who are watching, you know there's a time for the movie and there's a time for the woman or for the man. Okay. Spiritual intimacy is the second one. See? It's the moment when the inner Charlton Heston puts down the tablets and the inner Bob Hope stops cracking jokes long enough to let someone actually see him. It's the moment when the performance takes a coffee break and the being steps forward. That's intimacy. Well, with that, okay, now I'm going to get dressed. And I fear I've kept you too long. Thanks for hanging with me. I really had a good laugh. I haven't had a laugh like that yet on any of my videos. I've done a little crying, a little weeping back in the early days. But thanks for indulging me that. Make sure you visit the Avalon Muse, my music station that is now being birthed and coming almost ready to let that full album release in a few days. Right now, I've got 10 released songs for you, inspired by this channel, by my friends um, here in Avalon. And so, with that, I will say, until we meet again, may we all remain in peace.